Now, obviously, it should come as no surprise, but all of this economic turmoil, well, it could be directly attributed to Donald Trump. There is a straight line to be drawn from his bad ideas to all of these terrible economic indicators. We have people getting laid off. We have businesses closing down. We could even be on the brink of a recession, all because Donald Trump is a malignant narcissist who believes that he is smarter than everybody else, including the experts. And when some of those experts speak up and they point out the facts on the ground that are a direct result of his bad ideas, well, Donald Trump just wants to throw a fit like a petulant child because he just cannot stand the fact that this could be his fault. And instead, he tries to blame the experts because they're not doing what he wants them to do. Here he is going after Jerome Powell for not lowering the interest rates already. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Really done a fast up. So prices haven't gone up. The only thing that's gone up actually is interest rates, because we have a Federal Reserve chairman that is playing politics. Somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually, but he's playing politics. Interest rates should be down now. They should be coming down. In Europe, as you know, they reduced them, I guess 7 times. It looks like they're going to reduce them again and again and again. But our guy wants to play cute. But interest rates are pretty much even. Maybe they went up just a slight bit, but that's the only thing. But that's because of the Federal Reserve, because they're not very smart people.
Because they're not very smart people. Where have we heard that before? Donald Trump is the most profoundly stupid person to hold the office of president. And he goes around thinking that he's got all of the greatest ideas, but then he puts those ideas into effect, and they are absolutely disastrous. We've seen stories all over the country where people can't even get their products back to America because the tariffs are so damn high that and they don't have the access to the capital to go and get them. I mean, to try to pawn this off on somebody else, trying to say that, oh, Jerome Powell, he hasn't lowered the interest rates yet, and so fuck right off. Jerome Powell is one of the most even-keeled people that I think I've ever seen. He got us through the COVID pandemic in a miraculous way. He played a huge, huge role in that soft landing. And then Donald Trump came in behind it and just blew it all up. So why is Donald Trump all pissed off at Jerome Powell? Well, because he recently held a press conference or did some event at the Economic Club of Chicago where he was kind of giving a report. And of course, the statistics that were laid bare were completely contrary to Donald Trump's worldview. Here's Jerome Powell talking about how growth has slowed in the first quarter.
The initial reading on first quarter GDP in a couple of weeks, the data we have in hand so far suggests that growth has slowed in the first quarter of this year from last year's solid pace. Despite strong motor vehicle sales, overall consumer spending appears to have grown modestly. In addition, strong imports during the first quarter, reflecting attempts by businesses to get ahead of potential tariffs, are expected to weigh on GDP growth.
I wonder why there could be a slowdown in the economy. I wonder if it's because the President of the United States has injected so much uncertainty into the markets that nobody knows what they should actually do. Businesses and households alike. They have no idea what tomorrow is going to look like, and therefore they don't want to make any big decisions because they could, regret it the next day. That's all because Donald Trump. That is his fault. He didn't have to do this. I'm sure he was warned that all of these tariffs were going to be devastating to the economy. They're going to be devastating to the American people. But like I said, his weird infatuation and his complete misunderstanding of these things, he went forward with them anyway. And now we could be on the brink of a recession. That's it. Jerome Powell goes on to say these tariffs were much, much higher than anybody anticipated.
The level of tariff increases announced so far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth. And
this is the worst of all worlds, right? You got higher prices, so higher inflation, but slower growth. That is a terrible, terrible place for an economy to be in. And like I said, all of this is to be blamed on Donald Trump. And these tariffs are just so astronomically high that most people probably didn't even think they were real. And they used this weird asinine formula. They tried to dress it up to make it look all fancy. But all it was doing was, I think, taking the export, dividing it by the imports, dividing it in half, and then you got this astronomically high tariff that makes no sense in any scenario. I mean, we are doing 145% tariffs on China right now. That means if a business has $50,000 worth of goods that they need to ship over here, they now need to come up with nearly $150,000 to just get their products back. How is a business supposed to cope with that? Donald Trump wants you to believe that it's the other country that pays for the tariffs. But now, I think everybody's getting a real big dose of reality, and we know that that is just not true. We've heard stories from all over the country where these businesses got their products trapped in China because they can't come up with the exorbitant amount of money that they would need to get them sent back home. That is what is going on here. Here's Jerome Powell talking about how these tariffs could cause higher inflation.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation. The inflationary effects could also be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome will depend on the size of the effects, on how long it takes for them to pass through fully to prices, and ultimately on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored.
I mean, this was pretty predictable, right? If you are charging huge tariffs for people to import their goods, those companies got to pay the tariffs, and then they turn around and they pass those prices onto the consumer. So then you got your prices on all your products that are raising, and even if you have local businesses that do all of their manufacturing here, they say, oh, look, we can actually charge that much for our products, and they start raising their prices too. That's capitalism, baby. This is what they asked for. This is what Trump asked for. I mean, it is an absolute shit show. So we've got tariffs that are astronomically high that, I mean, just make absolutely no sense. And they could be causing higher inflation, very likely will cause higher inflation. But I think more importantly is all of the uncertainty that has been injected into the markets, which is what Jerome Powell is talking about here.
And businesses and households are saying in surveys that they are experiencing incredibly high uncertainty. There's a lot of research, some of it from the Fed, showing that that does lead to businesses and households stepping back from decisions, which of course makes common sense. And you hope that that's something that you go through a phase and then you know what things become more certain, and therefore people can resume normal economic activities given their understanding of what is the new normal. I mean, your question really is, what if the uncertainty remains high? I think that's a difficult environment. I think people's expected rates of return would have to be higher. I think people would be, that would weigh on, to me, investment just in general. If the United States were to become a jurisdiction where risks are just structurally higher going forward, that would make us less attractive as a jurisdiction. We don't know that at this point, but I think that would be the effect.
Again, I think this was another predictable outcome from these insane tariffs. I'm sure Donald Trump was given the information that this is what was going to happen. Tariffs are not good for anybody. They can be used in strategic ways to bolster certain industries, but that is not what Donald Trump did here. He did across-the-board tariffs, which means prices on all sorts of products are going to go up. Cars are going to become thousands upon thousands of dollars more expensive. And of course, this puts uncertainty into the market. If I don't know what Donald Trump or what the tariff landscape is going to look like day to day, if I'm a business, how am I supposed to do my projections? If I'm a household, maybe I'm not going to buy that car that I wanted to buy because those tariffs might be lifted in a day or two, and I could go buy it at a cheaper price then. Or, these are the types of considerations that people make. When you've got such an unstable economic environment, people just kind of freeze because they don't know what's coming next. People might want to save their money because they see prices going up everywhere. So maybe I'm not going to go buy those extra pair of shoes that I wanted. Maybe I'm not going to place that extra order at Amazon because I need to save my money because I don't know what's coming. I mean, this was all very predictable, and Donald Trump should have known better. He is the president of the United States and therefore has probably the greatest level to information that he gets more information than anybody else on the planet. Let's just put it that way. There is no way that he was not warned that this was going to happen. But he went forward with them anyway. And now he is trying to blame others for all of this craziness going on. And going after the Fed chair is just his latest attack. I mean, we are treading in dangerous territory right now. If Donald Trump thinks that he can get control over the Fed, we are in big, big trouble. And I like that Jerome Powell comes out and says that he's not going to be swayed by this political pressure.
That we're monitoring carefully. Generally speaking, Fed independence is very widely understood and supported in Washington, in Congress, where it really matters. And, the point is we can make our decisions, and we will only make our decisions based on our best thinking, based on our best analysis of the data about what is the way to achieve our dual mandate goals as we can to best serve the American people. That's the only thing we're ever going to do. We're never going to be influenced by any political pressure. People can say whatever they want. That's fine. That's not a problem. But we will do what we do strictly without consideration of political or any other extraneous factors.
And this is the exact right mindset that you want Jerome Powell having. If Donald Trump has more control over the Fed, he's going to be more likely to influence their decisions, which could be terrible for the country while being okay for Donald Trump. If he keeps on pressuring people to lower the interest rates because it's going to, unlock lending for some people, and that makes Donald Trump look good, but it's not the right thing to do with our economic environment. Like I said, dangerous, dangerous territory. We want a Fed that is independent from politics. That's why they are appointed to such long terms. They're supposed to be insulated from the President of the United States because you don't want his personal ambitions to get in the way of the right decision that should be made based on the data. And like I said, Jerome Powell got us through COVID-19 in a spectacular fashion. He is one of the unsung heroes of the pandemic. Probably doesn't get enough credit. But we cannot let Donald Trump get control of the Federal Reserve. Like I said, it would just be catastrophic. But here you have Donald Trump saying that, well, if I tell him to get out, he'll get out.
On Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job. He's too late, always too late, a little slow, and I'm not happy with him. I let him know it, and if I want him out, he'll be out of there real fast, believe me.
Just some more authoritarian nonsense from Donald Trump. Oh, he'll do what I say because I said so. That is not how this is supposed to work. And let's not forget, folks, Jerome Powell was appointed by Donald Trump in his first term. And now because, what? Donald Trump thinks he should do one thing, but he's not doing anything yet, and so, oh, what? Now he needs to be thrown out? This is just more of the authoritarian cult brain rot. Anybody who stands in the way needs to be shoved aside and punished. That is what he is calling for here. And I hope that there is the resistance, the power, the whatever you want to call it, in Congress to make sure that this doesn't happen. Because like I said, it would be absolutely catastrophic for somebody as erratic and as stupid as Donald Trump to have control over the levers over at the Federal Reserve. Be absolutely devastating for America. So there you have it, folks. The President of the United States caused a whole bunch of economic turmoil. Now he's trying to blame the experts because he's not doing what he think or that they because they are not doing what he thinks that they should be doing. Excuse me. And we are just treading into dangerous territory yet again. Just seems like every single day there's something new we have to watch out for. All of these authoritarian ambitions keep on getting checked off the list in Donald Trump's playbook. And it is just dark times here in the United States. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We are trying to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against the right-wing media ecosystem that just shovels shit for Donald Trump every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. It is free. And if you guys want to see Bukele, the president from El Salvador, and Donald Trump just palling around as they ignore the Supreme Court, just like a couple of authoritarians would, go ahead and watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.